Today's Bible verse is about experiencing joy in times of trial. And so I decided that I would speak to my friend Lisa. Now, some of you may know, some of you may not know, but Lisa suffered with ME for many, many years, about 25 years in fact. And she had that until very recently when Jesus healed her about a year ago. When it was at its worst stage, Lisa could do very, very little. In fact, even noises disturbed her. People visiting could only be there for a very short amount of time. Some days, just to be able to get up to go to the bathroom was about all she could manage. So I've asked Lisa to explain a little bit about how she's experienced joy.
Well, I think God really met me in that place, and He showed me what to do. A lot of the time I was just lying in bed and had to depend on Him really to sustain me. He just fed me with His word, and I couldn't read a lot, so often it was by just having one verse to focus on for the day, or a song. I think a new song every day just about came to mind, and I would have verses that I'd written out, put up around the room, and on the wardrobe was right in front of me, so that was covered in verses and pictures which reminded me of all of God's goodness, faithfulness, what He'd spoken in the past, and His promises. So that's what sustained me. But I think I really found joy when I just let go of everything, even that desire to be well, and even His promises. So I was just completely wanting to abide in Him and know Him. It was all about knowing more of Him. And yeah.
Okay, so you seem to hear God speak very clearly to you. And is there anything that God's been saying to you at the moment? Yeah,
I think the big theme which has been running through the last couple of years, so through healing and still now, is to do with one of the promises a long time ago, which was actually 25 years ago, and it's still on this little hedgehog. It says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing, now it springs up, do you not perceive it?" And he's been speaking to me about a whole new way of having faith in Him. So when I was very ill, and it was like being in a storm, there was a picture which I kept coming back to, this one that we brought back from India, and Jesus spoke to me about having that faith to trust that He was right there in the storm, that I just needed Him, His presence, and nothing else. But then it became, right, it was time to get out of the boat and walk on the waves, to not fear what was around me, and to trust that word, that it was a new thing He was doing. And as He was healing me, that became learning to dance on the waves. And dancing is about worship. So I've been trying to paint the picture, and it's actually changed lately. So before, it was just completely a storm, with me trying to dance. But then a few weeks ago it changed to there being this calm place right in the storm where I could dance with Jesus. So that's about knowing His presence and worshipping Him, taking my eyes off, circumstances, whatever, and looking to Him, keeping my eyes fixed on Him.
So knowing God's presence and worshipping Him even when things are difficult, that's what you're saying that you've learned through that picture of Jesus being in the storm with you. So that that's encouraging for lots of people. Is there anything else that you feel that God is saying, particularly for anyone who might be listening this morning?
There was one thing two things. One thing, there was a word I had a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was for all of us and for all of God's church, The word which just popped into my head was eglantine, which I didn't know what it was. So I looked it up, and it's a rose bush, but the fragrance comes from all the leaves. It said together they make a sweet, strong fragrance. So God was saying, yes, when we worship, wherever we are, all in our different places, then that fragrance comes together and delights Him. So as we worship together now, it puts a big smile on His face, I'm sure.
That's really encouraging. Thank you, Lisa. And that's one of the things I've been missing too about being separated like this, is to be able to come together with God's people to worship. So to have that word that God is receiving our worship as we worship Him separately is definitely one that I think we can all take away and use to encourage ourselves that we are not alone, that we are together with our brothers and sisters and together with God. That brings us to our next song, which is Even Though I Walk, which is based on that fantastic psalm, Psalm 23. Let's join together and sing.